So welcome back to the channel. Now in the last video I looked at the delivery organisation roles and gave you some exam tips and introduced a new category which is business tips, and we'll be doing those from now on. Now I realised that the video was actually around 20 minutes long and we have more to cover on the customer roles, so I'm actually going to break this video into two. So we'll do a part one, which will be this video, and then we'll do a part two so that the videos are not overly long, as I've always promised. We'll try and keep to about 10 minutes, as I've already said. So in this part one video, I'll cover the roles that may have some overlap with the delivery partner roles, although they'll come from the customer organisation. And in part two, I'll cover the roles that will, in my view at least, be better served by members of the customer organisation. Okay, so let's start with a summary of all the customer organisation roles as defined in the Catalyst, and then look in detail at each of the roles as they fall into part one of the video and part two of the video, which will come in a week's time. Now remember, this is advice and guidance, so nothing is set in stone. You've really got to use your own experience to decide how best to proceed. And let's start then with exam tip 1 and business tip 1. So exam tip 1. There are some roles that can be filled by either the delivery organisation or the customer organisation. But there are some roles which it is highly recommended be filled uniquely in each organisation. So as we go through the roles, I'll take note of these. Some things can come up in the exam about this, so worth noting. Now, business tip 1. Some customer roles may face off against equivalent delivery roles such as project managers and platform architects. The relationship here will reinforce the capabilities in these areas and provide a balance to the engagement. Like I say, you have to use your own experience about how you work with third parties. And remember, each organisation must define the responsibilities that are relevant to their organisation. So, as promised, here are the roles that I'm going to cover. In part 1, project manager, platform architect, developer, solution architect, and the QA team, what you may call the testing team. And then in part 2, which will be in a week's time, business owner, domain architect, C4E executive sponsor, C4E team leader, and IT operations, however that may be defined in your organisation. So without further ado, I'll start with the project manager role, and as the customer project manager role, this role will interact with the delivery manager that we will remember from the delivery partner video. Now the customer project manager will provide project direction and guidance from a customer perspective, while also managing the customer's resources and ensuring that the required customer engagement is available and fully committed to the project. With the project manager being a senior resource within the customer organisation, they will be the point of inquiry and escalation for all issues arising in the engagement, including managing the agreed scope of the engagement and the availability of resources where additional inputs may be required, either across the project or within particular areas within the project. Now the project manager will manage the customer backlog of activities and prioritise work on behalf of the customer. And now we have the customer platform architect. So you may remember from the previous video that we have a platform architect on the delivery organisation side. The main difference here is that the delivery organization platform architect is responsible for setting up the platform and providing consultancy expertise, whereas the customer organization platform architect is responsible for defining how the platform can be used with other tools and applications within the organization. It's very important to have these two platform architects working together in tandem. Now, the customer platform architect will develop comprehensive platform architecture and configuration documentation, because remember, this will be an ongoing capability within the organization, so it needs to be fully documented. Now, we need to improve DevOps processes by implementing a CI/CD practice to reduce the manual deployment interventions. This is really important because we're looking at rapid delivery of integrations and we can't afford manual deployments all the time. We need that CI/CD pipeline. We need to offer strategic guidance on platform scalability and capacity planning in alignment with customers' upcoming projects. So we're still talking about the platform architect here, and we need to tailor the MuleSoft platform deployment to the organization's unique context, collaborating with the customers, the business, infrastructure, InfoSec, so your security team, and any other teams that have any type of involvement with the platform ongoing. Now, we need to define platform usage strategies and recommend changes to the customer's organizational and process changes to ensure long-term stability and sustainability. So this leads to the creation of standards, reusable assets, and automations to support scalability and multi-line of business adoption. So let's move on to now the organization's developers. This will have an impact on the actual customer developers. So the developers within an organization may work either alongside or as an integrated unit with developers from the delivery organization, with the likelihood that the delivery organization developers will probably have more experience than those in the organization. So it's a mutual benefit really going forward for the customer developers to learn and be mentored by more experienced developers. Now, this may not always be the case, but regardless, the organization's developers are responsible for implementing ongoing projects according to schedules, best practices, while promoting reusable assets and templates which have been assembled and documented by the C3. And we're going to come and talk about the C3 later on, and we'll be looking at that in a lot more detail later on as well. So developers will also be responsible for conducting code reviews, for governance within their actual development, overseeing deployments through the CI/CD pipeline, remember, and enforcing promotion gates through the organization's pre-production environments. So dev, test, QA, pre-prod, whatever you may have set up in your organization. Now, organizational developers will also be responsible for ensuring that quality documentation is produced, operational issues are resolved, and providing coaching and mentoring to technical staff where required. Now remember, a lot of the documentation in the MuleSoft area is the actual RAMLs that are written. So other types of documentation may be useful, may be required, but always remember that it should be self-documenting. APIs should be self-documenting. It is generally safe to assume that the organizational solution architects have a more intimate knowledge of the organization, business, and possibly the industry that is being worked in, that the delivery organization team members are working in. So the organization's solution architects will normally work with their own area of the business and develop products, features, and functionality required by that area within that organisation. In this way, the solution architects will provide ongoing knowledge to support implemented projects while transferring any knowledge that they have to those that require it, either within the organisation or within the delivery partner, because the delivery partner, as we said, may be hanging around for a long time in some capacity or other, or maybe not. The QA team, as it's referred to in the Catalyst course, or the test team, as it is referred to in some organisations, is only mentioned as part of the customer organisation. However, in my view, providing independence can be assured, the test team can come from either organisation. Now, there are a number of organisational structures that could work here, such as the organisations testers or QA team could create the test cases supporting both functional and non-functional requirements, and then plan and coordinate the testing execution, while the delivery organisation provides the staff to execute the testing. Or the delivery organisation could provide staff to create and plan the testing, while the organisational testers execute the tests. Remember though that in the Catalyst course material, as I've said, the QA team is responsible for all aspects of testing. So just remember the difference here, but what might be business led and what the Catalyst is actually saying. And so we come to the end of this video, and in the next video I'll talk about the remaining organisational roles of business owner, domain architect, C4E executive sponsor, C4E team lead, IT operations, where, at least in my view, as I've said, these must be staffed by the organisation's own people. So, hopefully that's covered that first bit, and we'll come back in the second video next week to cover the remaining roles. And hopefully I'll see you then. Bye for now.